Hi, it's Amy. I wanted to show you how this layout came together from start to finish. So I've got these 4 photos printed on a 4x6, and I've also got these bits, wood frames from my stitched collection. I want to show you how easy it is to take a collage photo that you print on a 4x6. This was just printed at Costco. I set it up on my iPhone and I used PicFrame as the app, and then I just put the 4 photos next to each other. So you can see that the frame actually fits this quadrant perfectly. So I'm going to use that. I've got my Fiskars trimmer, which apparently needs a new blade, and I also need to probably do my cuts a little bit closer to it because I was trying to avoid getting my head in the camera view, but I didn't make a clean cut. So I'm just going to take my Fiskars scissors and trim off that little excess piece. Okay, once again, I didn't have a good clean cut, so I'm just taking my scissors, trimming that last bit off. All right, so now you can see that the frame fits perfectly around the photo. I've got this Tim Holtz Distress Paint in Cracked Pistachio, and I love how easy it is to use to add a nice bold touch to this simple wood frame. So once that's done, I will set it aside to dry to work on the background of my cardstock. I've got this Creative Options container with a bunch of Tim Holtz Distress inks, and I love how you can take a plain piece of cardstock and really jazz it up with some stenciling and some stamping. All right, so I've got these stencils. They're called Brooklyn, and I'm using the chevron one. And I know it sounds weird, but I'm using this 3M micropore tape, which I think is more found in hospitals than it is in craft stores. But I have some left over. I'm not even sure where it's from, but I'm sure it came from a doctor's visit or something like that when my grandmother was still alive. So I've got a roll here, and I've just taped down my stencil, and I'm using the little mini ink blending tool to apply the ink right on there. And if you don't have this micropore tape, you can use washi tape, or you don't even really have to tape it down. I just like it because then it masks off exactly what I don't want inked. And then I can peel it off nice and easily without removing any of the cardstock below. So I'll repeat that process over here. Now, I don't really know how this is going to turn out. I kind of have an idea of how I want to lay my 4 photos down in a vertical fashion. But down here, I think that instead of inking up the whole line, I'm just going to do the last 4 stripes. Perfect, that looks pretty good. So I'm going to open up another one of these to use with the mustard seed. And here is a floral template that I just need to find where I want to position it. Taped it down once again, and using this blending tool to add ink to the paper. Now, I'm no expert. This is probably only the, I don't know, 10th time I've done this sort of thing. So perhaps you guys have better tips, but I found that this method works for me. Another thing that I want to do is try to add another color. This one is Spiced Marmalade, and I thought it'd be fun to kind of just color in the outside of the flower to add a little bit more detail and interest. So we'll see how that turns out. Turns out this technique is pretty addictive, actually. And I like that these mini stencils, oh, that looks awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna do the same thing over here. So I'm gonna line it up as best as I can and go around the edges. So yeah, these mini stencils are a good size that you can really just experiment with them, use them on scraps. All right, now for some stamping. I've got this archival ink from Ranger and my new stamp set. This roller stamp is great, but I found that the font is really thin, so this ink pad works the best with it. I tried spongier ones and it tried too much pressure. So I think that you just have to have like a little happy medium and practice with it. And then you can get a really nice impression. I think this stamp is great for card makers and for people who have planners who want these little phrases included. All right, next I have these stamps that are also from my new line Rise and Shine. I've got two different inks. This one is called Aquamarine and it's from Ranger. And I've got some residue on the edges, so I want to just clean that up with a baby wipe. Now I found for me, user error is very likely in stamping, which I've just kind of learned to deal with. But because I want this layout to turn out decent, I've gone ahead and been really careful about stamping, and it turns out it looks pretty good. So the next thing I'm going to do is take the outline version of this stamp and ink it up with Simon Says Stamp in Island Blue. And since I can't see exactly where I'm stamping, I can just offset it, and I think it looks intentional. I actually prefer this kind of hand stamped look as opposed to something that was perfectly placed. The perfectly placed element could be achieved with acrylic stamps, but I think it's a little bit harder with wood stamps. So I'm bringing back my photos, and like I said earlier, I have a general idea of how I want them laid out on my page, but I want to make sure the spacing in between is correct, or sorry, appealing. There's no really correct and incorrect way of doing this. And then next I've got the frame that's now dry, and I'll simply adhere it to frame the photo. Just using an American Crafts tape runner, and I'm making sure to get most of the sides, and I can place it right on top there. Just make sure my edges are lined up. That looks great. Now for the hearts, I want to fill it in. So I've got this paper called Amelia, and I'm just going to cut off a small portion of the tear strip and slide it in there so that you can see that red polka dotted pattern showing through in the hearts. This is a really simple, easy technique to just add a little bit more interest and detail. Trim that last piece off, and then I decided that I wanted to actually incorporate this pattern paper piece into my page as well. So I'm just going to tear the bottom off, and that looks like a good size. I don't tend to measure. I don't measure with a ruler. I just measure with my eyeballs and try to see how it looks. All right, so I've got this really cool washi tape book from Rise and Shine. And the reason I love it is because these are strips that are already cut for you, and you can just tear out the amount that you need and stick it down. So it turns out that I actually don't want this on the orange. I've changed my mind, so I'm peeling it up and then I'm going to just tear it. And because I don't like wasting even just the tiniest piece of washi tape, I'm going to put it up here somewhere. That looks like a good spot. All right, so I haven't adhered my photos down, and I don't tend to do it until I'm absolutely sure that I want to commit. For this one, I'm just going to add adhesive there, and then I can put my Life is Sweet sticker right there, and the Meet Cute transparent sticker could go up at the top. These are little remark stickers that are already cut for you, and there's tons of phrases. What's really nice about it is that there are 4 different colored sheets and 2 of each sheet. So you have tons of different stickers that you can use for all of your paper projects. Okay, so this is a piece from a bits pack from my Stitched collection, and it's acrylic, and you can tell that it's transparent. Oops. And I'm sticking it down there, but I also want to make sure that it's properly stuck down. So I'm taking this long arm stapler, which is kind of an investment piece. You can probably get it at a local office store, but I found that it's become used quite often and come in handy many times when I'm trying to make little mini books or just adding the perfect touch to a layout where, a normal stapler couldn't reach. Okay, now I've got these Alex thickers. These are actually my writing, and the process in creating them was me just cutting out cardstock and doing each letter a few times. And so you'll find that there's a variety. You'll find the same thing in Hannah. This booklet comes with tons of pages, and you'll notice that the letters aren't all the same. So I want to add my title there. I think I've decided on Hey Mama, and I'm just choosing which color to do it in. So I could either do it in the blue or the yellow, but I've chosen the yellow. But what I realized before I put this H down was that I wanted to make sure that it was aligned with the right side. So I started backwards with the Y, then the E, and now the H. So because I couldn't decide before, I'm just going to grab these blue ones and make it a two-tone title. These are great because they are translucent, so you can kind of see through the back, and I love that about them. They're great for layering. Now this set of thickers is gold foam, and it's great because it's like gold foil on foam. Really fun and gives just enough dimension and interest to whatever you're working on. Put this heart right here. I'm going to add some journaling off camera, and I'll show you how it turned out. Here's the finished layout. Hope you enjoyed watching the process and feel inspired to get creative using Rise and Shine and other products. For more inspiration, please check out amytangerine.com as well as simonsaysstamp.com. Thanks so much!